The streak is over. The 49ers finally win a game in Cleveland, a 26-8. Pretty dominating performance, Jason, as the Niners move to 9-4 on the season into their bye week. Jason, we had this game circled very, very early on as a concern, and really all the concerns were there. The weather, Cleveland's good defense, all that stuff. And the Niners blew through it like it was no issue. So very impressive win for the 49ers today.
Yeah, and I think it's more of an indication too that the Browns offense is awful and they're
Yeah.
just a bad football team. And as long as the 49ers don't kill themselves,
Mm-hmm.
this is the type of win that they should have had the last time they played there if the idiot fucking kicker makes a kick, right? So like this should have never taken 2 more years for this to get done. The 49ers have always been better than the Browns. They do have an imposing defense and I was told about Miles Garrett. Cleveland Farrell 2 sacks, Miles Garrett 1.
Yeah.
Somebody's washed, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, a very impressive performance by the 49ers offensive line. Only one sack by the Browns as a whole. I mentioned in NinersNation.com article that Miles Garrett had as many sacks in the last 4 games as the Niners had this season, 13-13. And it really isn't just Miles Garrett, right? There's Malik Collins, like obviously former 49er. He's had a good year, 6.5 sacks.
Mason Graham
The,
looked good too today.
Mason Graham looked good as well. They have guys who can get after the quarterback, and they lead the AFC in sacks. And the Niners held them to 1 sack. And it's not like it was a run the ball a lot game. The Niners threw the ball 30 times. McCaffrey had 1 pass attempt. That was a throwaway, so it's 30 instead of 29. But really a 50-50 split. And really what's impressive is the Niners had no run game. No run game whatsoever. 33 carries for 90 yards. Christian McCaffrey, 20 carries for 53 total. Brian Robinson, 8 for 26. But the Niners offense, they held up well. The offensive line held up very well. There was, at the start of the third quarter, some pressure coming in from that defensive line, but the Niners offensive line held strong. And Brock Purdy looked decent. He looked fine enough to win the game. But really, what this comes down to is, I think, a combination of the Niners defense played well and Cleveland's offense stinks.
I was actually really impressed with Brock Purdy, especially coming off of last week. The windy conditions, that defense. I did write my article for Niners Nation in which I said that, the intermediate is where you have to attack the Cleveland Browns offense. I believe they were 21st in the NFL and EPA on intermediate throws. And that seemed like where Brock was going. Obviously, you weren't going to throw the football down the field given the winds and everything, but that's exactly where Brock lived. And for all the talk that like this game was a little bit one dimensional when you're not running the football, Brock was good, man. I think he was very good in this game, and it's like a stark difference from what we saw last week. And we're talking about a guy who had to throw the football. There was no training wheels offense in this game. He looked very good, and he made throw after throw when he needed to. That I think that drive before the second half, it really calmed things down and started to put the 49ers in a position where they even looked at each other like, man, we're fucking better than them. Let's go out
Yeah.
there and let's finish this shit. Like, and that's the type of momentum that they got from that drive. So, I want to say that Brock Purdy was good today, very good in certain aspects.
Yeah, I liked it. It was a slow start. It really was a slow start for the whole team. K-Star, thank you for the donation. Cleveland Farrell, great pickup. I'm sure we'll talk about him here in a second. But Brock Purdy, it was a slow start for really the whole Niners offense, and I think there was a case to be made that through the first half, Shador Sanders was outplaying Brock Purdy, but then Purdy really settled down throughout the second half. He looked good. He was moving well. I think that was really the best thing for me is how well he was moving. Cleveland was getting in the backfield, not super early in place, but he was still moving well in the pocket, moving around, making Cleveland move around with him. So that was my big takeaway. I thought Purdy looked good in that aspect as well as moving around. But let's also, before I forget as well, Jason, the special teams. Special teams outplaying Cleveland. Sky Moore starts the game with that 66-yard punt return, setting up the Niners' first touchdown. Matt Gay has a doink that goes through it. We've seen a doink go many other directions, Jason, especially with certain kickers in Cleveland in the past. But then it really comes down to Cleveland's mistakes. They start the second half with a kickoff return that was caught out of bounds at the 5-yard line, pinning them back. Niners almost got a safety out of it. And then the Cleveland punt returner, whose name I should have in front of me, I don't have in front of me right now.
84.
Larvadane, Gage Larvadane. He had a fumble early in the game, and then a muff picked up by Darrell Luter, and that sets up really the Niners' game-winning touchdown. The touchdown to Juwan Jennings, not game-winning, but it really puts the game away. I'm not used to the Niners special teams dominating these games, but I think it's something 13 games in the season we should be used to now.
Yeah, Brian Boucher, thank you for the donation. Cleveland gives us the best gifts in the NFL. 3 straight drives inside their 40. Stress level went from 100 to 15. It's true. That game, after that one drive where all Cleveland did was run the football, run the football, run the football, run the football, and then you have that coverage bust with Luke Gifford, who, by the way, was on the field because the 49ers are out of fucking linebackers at this point. You know, Nick Martin got hurt as well, too, in this game. But it really started to feel like, okay, like this is one of those games where like if you let them hang around, this can kind of twist. That's why I said that drive before the half, it really settled things down. And I know it only made it 10-8, but it also just let the 49ers know. And I think they needed to like kind of recalibrate and say, listen, man, we are better than them and we're going to finish this. So I do think that as well, too. And, you know, this is the formula for the 49ers to win. Special teams play, you know, you're gonna have to make a play or two on defense, and you're gonna have to cash in on those short fields, and that's complementary football, and that's something that we're seeing from the 49ers for the first time in a long time. Special teams sets up a drive for a touchdown, defense on a fumble sets up a drive for a touchdown, 49ers offense takes advantage. That's how you win football games. That's how you play well in all three phases, and I think the 49ers did that today.
Yeah, and really that whole sequence of plays, Jason, after that big 10-play, 90-yard touchdown scoring drive, going into the second half as well, because technically I mean, not even technically, literally, that drive right before the half was the game-winning score. That was Niners' 10th point. Cleveland doesn't get past 8. So that was the game-winning drive for the 49ers. But then the two teams swap punts to start the second half. Cleveland gets the ball, and I don't necessarily disagree with the going for it. I know they're at their own 33-yard line. It's a 4th and inches. But what I had an issue with is they never looked comfortable going to that line of scrimmage. Harold Fannin was going under center for
Play clock,
an
was dying.
attempted quarterback sneak, which like I'm fine with that call too. But Fannin didn't get under center until about 3 seconds left in the play clock. There seemed to be a lot of confusion. I was sitting on my couch begging Stefanski to call a timeout because it could not just as a Niner fan, you know, hoping they don't get a yard, because 1 yard is 1 yard no matter where you're at. But it was just so messy. And Fannin doesn't get the snap. Niners recover. I believe Gifford gets the recovery. So box score stat boost right there, I guess, right? Fumble recovery for Gifford.
Well, it was fourth down anyway.
It was 4th down anyway, so the Niners would have gotten the ball there anyways. But then the Niners 9 plays a touchdown drive, which resulted in, I thought, one of Kyle Shanahan's better play calls of the season, a very simple read option at the 2-yard line, but everybody on Cleveland bid on it. And a great read by Purdy, which I'll let you break down the touchdown celebration if you want. Kittle seemed to be surprised by it. But yeah, that was really the sequence of plays that won the game was that start of the set or the end of the first half, going into the fumble, going into the touchdown by the Niners, and that's where the game was taken over.
JR Romero, thank you for the donation. Special teams and defense got us this win. You know, you got to play well on all three phases, and when you give this 49ers offense those opportunities right there, they've got to cash those in. That's what just good football teams do. You know, we're down a bunch of players, but playing together and giving the other guys an opportunity to cash in, that's the way you're gonna have to play. And the Browns are inept. Like, let's not, you know, get it twisted at all. Like, they are absolutely inept, and they completely, you know, came apart at the seams. But at the same time, that's just how it's gonna happen. You know, that touchdown run by Purdy, it was, first of all, it was great. You know, it was an excellent call, right? And he read it perfectly as the defense sold out to go get McCaffrey. That's what they figured it would be, and why wouldn't they? You know, he pulls that thing down and he runs it in for the zone read. Looked like his toes actually a lot better. There was a few plays in this game, whether they were throwaways or not, him escaping the pocket and him moving, he looks a lot better. He looks a lot better, so that makes you feel better. Although, I don't know if you guys heard on the broadcast, they were saying that they spoke to Purdy and he said it won't be 100%. You know, I'm not 100%, but that is as close as it looked. And then obviously the icing on the cake, which I don't know, man. CBS was fumbling the bag with replays all game. How do you not find a way to get us a good angle of Brock Purdy hitting that Dougie? Because that shit was super clean, man. Oh my God, he'd been waiting to get that one off.
Yeah, no, a great sequence for the Niners, and it really emphasized how well, like as I mentioned, I thought Purdy was moving well, and that's really the big concern for him at this point. Is not necessarily anything beyond that, but a lot of people talked about how his upside over Mac Jones was his mobility. We hadn't seen it the past couple of weeks, but we see it this week, and he looked good. He looked fine. He looked good. I was encouraged by what Brock Purdy had to offer in this game. George Kittle had a pretty decent game as well. He doesn't have a touchdown. Jawan Jennings has the lone receiving touchdown, but two plays that Kittle made that were pretty big. First of all, leading into the field goal, I don't know how he caught that ball. The 33-yard reception, I think that's the longest play of the game for the 49ers offense. I don't know how he caught that ball. He somehow brings it in over Ronnie Hillman. I thought maybe they'd rule it incomplete because Hillman did rip it out at the end, but Kittle was already established to be down. The next play, the Niners kick a field goal to go up 10-8, and then a play that'll probably get lost because it's not the flashiest of plays. But right after that fumble, the Niners are facing a 3rd and 8. Kittle just finds his way between the two linebackers. Cleveland, they come crashing in, obviously, but Kittle's wide open, gets the first down, a 14-yard gain. A couple plays later, the Niners score a touchdown. I thought Kittle played well today in a game where the offense didn't do a ton, but did enough to work. And then J.R. Romero, thank you for the donation. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it here in a minute. The Rams did lose. They lose to the Carolina Panthers, which after we watched them on Monday night, I don't think we would have predicted that at all. They didn't look very good, but they could bounce back with a huge win for the Niners, helping out the Niners, losing to the Niners on Monday night and then beating the Rams on Sunday. That's really nice of them. Then Purdy did good. He didn't elevate anybody. I think I'm maybe reading that wrong. Maybe I'm misreading that, JR. But I thought Purdy played well.
Yeah, I thought Purdy played very well actually in this one, considering the circumstances. We actually get now to push back on a few narratives, right? Can't win in Cleveland, can't win in weather, can't beat Jim Schwartz. All of these
Yeah.
things are now pushed back on. All of these things are now pushed back on, and it just goes back to what the Browns are. The Browns are the Browns at the end of the day, and it just, the 41 year drought. It's a little misleading because they've only
Yes.
played 4 times, over the 41 years. But yeah, it's good to know that now, the whole Jim Schwartz thing owns him, whatever it is. Like, again, if the stupid fucking kicker makes the kick the last time and you win this game, then we're not talking about being scared of Jim Schwartz anymore, right? Like, so
Yeah.
I think, narratives have context and we have to put it all together. But yeah, the 49ers, they went in. This was a game that we knew was going to be ugly early on. It was. I mean, when you go into the half 10-8, it looked like it was just going to be one of those rock fight games. But the 49ers, when you can create those turnovers, when you can capitalize on those mistakes, that is how you get it done. And the 49ers are going to have to win these games like this the rest of the way. They have the bye week, Tennessee, then Chicago, Indianapolis, and Seattle to end the season, man. It's not going to get easy. So it's good to see everybody kind of pitching in. And every little bit, every single phase of football is going to have to be at its best if the 49ers are going to find a way to get into the playoffs, which I believe, after this win, really
Yeah.
puts them in the driver's seat. I think it puts them in an 87, 88% playoff probability. So yeah, I think it's one of the more impressive wins against an unimpressive team. But as you know, in the NFL, styles make fights, and Cleveland does things that we thought they were going to have problems with. Again, Myles Garrett 1 sack, Cleveland Farrell 2. Who would have known?
Well, now it's not even just playoffs, but now the division is in play.
Yeah,
It's interesting with this Rams loss. The Seahawks play your Minnesota Vikings, Jason, with the backup court. I had to throw it. At least you don't have to watch 9 this week, so I guess that's a positive, right?
yeah, but I have to watch
Uh,
Max Brosmer. That game just came across my screen, and I'm just like, there's
hey
not
man,
enough. There's not enough alcohol in the world. Well, I mean, the Saints actually did come back towards the end against Miami. Miami fucking stinks. And now that game just started. So I'm rooting for Minnesota, but that's going to be an uphill battle against Seattle.
but now at worst, the 49ers will be in third place. Obviously, right? They're still in third place. They still have Seattle, but with Seattle. If Seattle loses, which I don't know if they will, we'll see what happens. We would have said earlier that I don't know if the Rams lose to Carolina, but here we are. The
It's pretty
Niners
funny.
will enter their bye week one game out in the loss column. They obviously have their bye week, and then they have Tennessee next week, and then maybe a team loses next week, and the Niners are playing for first place in the NFC West. But right now, I think you could safely say the Niners are a team that are starting to look right at a good part of the season. Kind of had a lull in the middle of the year there. They're really, it feels like they're adapting to these injuries that they're having on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, Cleveland Farrell, 2 sacks, right? Like we've been talking about how poor the Niners offensive or defensive line has been these past couple of games. Now all of a sudden Cleveland Farrell has 3 sacks in 2 games. Keon White has been impressive. I'm happy to see he finally gets his sack. Bryce Huff, he's up and down. The linebackers are up and down, but the defense is playing as a unit. And I know Cleveland's offense helps a little bit, right? Like we gotta say it, right? We can't sit here and say the Niners defense dominated a top tier offense. It's an offense that's really been struggling. I looked it up actually, Jason. Cleveland has 3 games of 200 yards passing or more. And that doesn't feel like 200, not 300, 200 yards. That doesn't feel good. And the Niners took advantage of that today. I mean, how many yards did Shador have here? Let me pull this up. Shador had 149 passing yards. So it really not a good offense. Quinshon Judkins looked really good on the Cleveland offense. I like Harold Fannin. I think Trent Green had a stat that Christian McCaffrey leads the NFL in broken tackles. Harold Fannin's second. And that's crazy because he's a rookie and he's a tight end. And not often are you talking about a tight end breaking tackles. So I Cleveland offense not great, but the Niners defense made them look that way.
Yeah, and I think Shador was fine today. But like what you saw today is a microcosm, or really just gives you an insight of like who he is. He needs to get rid of the football more. He needs to stop falling back. On like I don't know why he thinks that running backwards towards the 50 and taking a sack is a good play. He did turn down some throws. It is his second start, but that's been the book on him. Since he was in Colorado. That's the type of player he is at times, where he doesn't. He doesn't see it. He doesn't throw it. He holds the ball too long, or he just runs backwards. So. Yeah, I mean, look, he was fine. Like I'm not gonna say that he was awful, but I wasn't necessarily worried about him. And that was my contention. Like if this game was gonna be lost by the 49ers, it was gonna be lost because they turned the football over and over, and Cleveland's defense was just getting pressure after pressure, and they got like a pick 6 or something like that, or the game just got funky. Never really got funky. It was just that one drive where, like you said, the idea that they should have went for it on 4th. I didn't have a problem with them punting because if I am giving Shador Sanders and that Cleveland offense the ball at the 10, you shouldn't let them go 90 yards for a touchdown. Like that's on you, defense. That's on you. And especially when they run the football 8 straight times. So I mean, that's just who the Browns are, and I think that's why it's so frustrating when the 49ers lose these games, because it's for the most part them beating themselves. And that's what makes it frustrating. It's like this drought over these last 2, these 41 years or whatever. That last game was they beat themselves, missed field goal, they had some injuries in that game. But as long as they don't beat themselves, and they put Shador Sanders in a spot where he had to throw the football. And that's where you want to live. You want to live there. Go ahead, beat us. Go. One-dimensional, drop back and everything. That's why I said after the touchdown, the pass rush gets to go have some fun, and that's when Keon White gets there and everything as well, too. By the way, the refs cheated us out of a safety as well, too. They just don't want to give the 49ers a safety at all, man. I really don't understand.
I felt like they had a safety like 3 different ways. It felt like there was a holding, the face mask, and then Shador, like they said he
intentional grounding.
It should have been intentional grounding, but I think they said he was getting hit as he threw, which I guess wipes out it. But yeah, the Niners getting screwed out of safeties. That was the Arizona game, right? I believe back in week 4, week 3, whatever it may be. But yeah, just really a dominating performance by the Niners. It started slow. It was like the first half a little nerve-wracking. Like, we could be 100% honest with that. Going into the half 10-8, not feeling good, giving the ball Cleveland back. But the Niners outscore them 16-0 in the second half. And really, after the 4th down that they didn't convert where they fumbled it really felt like that was it. The Niners scored the touchdown to go up 9. And it never felt like Cleveland was getting past 10 points. So that was that was really the sequence of the game for the 49ers to put it away.
Yeah, and if there's two concerns in this game with the defense, it's one, the run defense was getting gashed, and that's pretty
Yeah.
bad. But god damn the missed tackles. Somebody fucking wrap up and tackle. Curtis Robinson has to stop playing. He has to stop playing. And it's not just him, but my God, man, it seems like every single time he has a chance to get, to somebody, he completely whiffs. And
Yeah.
obviously, this bye week is at the right time. Hopefully, Tatum Batoon comes back. Hopefully, our kicker comes back as well too. We're gonna find out what's going on with, who else left this game, with an injury. Um, who
I
got
know
knocked out of this
Robinson
game?
went down. Somebody, Martin.
Yeah, well, all right. Nick Martin, whatever. Like, you'll have time to get out of that and everything. But, I just, and Juice has ribs. He'll be fine like that. But it's just the tackling thing, man. Like, these next four games, and yes, one is against the Tennessee Titans, who put up 3 points today against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And funny enough, they're going to face the Browns this week, and Shador is going to start again. Um, you're not going to be able to get away with that effort against the Chicago Bears, against the Indianapolis Colts. Try wrapping up and tackling Jonathan Taylor like that, and we'll see how that game goes. Like, they have to fix this missed tackling thing. I can't wait for this number to come out on PFF, because no matter what the PFF number is, it's too low. They're gonna say that it was 7. I'm gonna say it's fucking 35. Like, I really don't understand. Like I'm gonna be like, there's no way that it was just 7. There was 7
Yeah.
in one play. Like, so they have to fix this because of who they're going to be facing down the stretch.
I mean, even too considering beyond the Indianapolis game, you got Chicago, and you saw what Chicago run offense did to Philadelphia on Friday. That was really impressive, and I think they had 200-yard rushers in that game. So like it's not obviously. I mean, I'm going to say it's not going to get any easier, but Tennessee's in the middle there, so obviously it's going to get slightly easier. But then after the Tennessee, which this is something we've talked about for a while, for the last month, talking about the Arizona, Carolina, Cleveland, Tennessee stretch, going right into that tough Indianapolis, Chicago, Seattle stretch. And even Seattle has some issues in the run game, but there's a couple names that you're familiar with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, who haven't had the best seasons. But really, the Niners' inability to tackle just doesn't feel good, and especially that Jonathan Taylor on Monday night, like that feels like that could be a big performance. At this moment, the Niners, we have 3 weeks before we got to think about that, but right now you can't feel good about Indianapolis and Chicago back to back after the performance you just saw them put against the Cleveland Browns and Quinshaw Judkins, who's had a solid season himself. But you would hope things happen. Things better. And somebody says Kendricks will help. Niners signed Kendricks, obviously, which we'll see what that is. We'll see what that looks like. I can imagine it can only help because it means less Luke Gifford snaps, but we'll
Well,
see what it looks like.
Kendricks will probably play Mike. So it's going to be
That's true
between him
too.
and Batoon. I don't, yeah. So I'm not sure like what they're going to do, if they're going to go right back to Batoon, or if they're going to, just turn it right over to Kendricks. I would say that, Kendricks does have the bye week to get, acclimated. But you know what? Knowing Kyle, he probably is going to roll with the veteran. And remember, the reason that we have Devondre Campbell is because of, Eric Kendricks. So
Yeah.
I think if they get him up to speed and by, he's probably the starting Mike.
Yeah, so we'll see what that looks like. Obviously, that's something to talk about over the bye week. We're still here talking about the 49ers 26-8 victory over the Cleveland Browns. What did you think about McCaffrey's game, Jason? You think that's just a product of the weather, or do you think just Cleveland did well? What do you think of the running lanes? And obviously, that's an all 22 question, maybe. But what do you think about McCaffrey's game?
No, Cleveland has a really good run defense, and that was just a grinded out game with McCaffrey. That's why Brock had to make those throws. Brock has to make those throws to keep the offense going. This was never going to be a game where you run the football. Like, it just was never going to happen against his defense. So I'm not reading too much into it. I think once you're able to at least connect on some passes down, it pushes the defense back a little bit, or at least puts it in their mind that the football can come out. So I'm not really reading too much into it at all. I just think that Cleveland's a very good run defense, and I think that they're the number 2 rated defense for a reason. So I'm straight.
The other injury we might have been thinking about was Kyle Juszczyk. He walked off the
Yeah,
field
yeah,
at
ribs.
the end of the game. We'll see what that looks like. He had 2 receptions for 27 yards. Juwan Jennings, quite good game. 4 receptions, 39 yards, and the touchdown, the only passing touchdown of the game for the Niners. Ricky Pearsall, 2 receptions for 14 yards.
First down. Wait a minute. So 0, 6, 14.
We're improvement.
Every week, 0,
Improving.
6, 14. Next week, 28.
At this rate, we'll be in the divisional round and he'll have an 115-yard game. We like it. We like the positivity there, Jason. But yeah, I really just I don't have much more. I feel like we've touched a lot about it. Clelin Ferrell, really a complete game. 9 tackles, 6 solo, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits. Really a complete game from him. Oh, they had a 4th down earlier in the game too, where Malik Mustafa and Jordan Elliott were in there and made the big hit. Just an overall solid performance by the defense, man.
Malik Mustafa was the best player on the field today on defense. He's been improving steadily. I think, Jair Brown stole the show last week, but Malik was just as good in certain aspects. That one throw from Shador that floated up there, Malik had a chance to get under there, but he's been flying to the football. He looks like he's comfortable. Perhaps he's healthy. But that is for all the talk about we were saying about the safeties and how worried you are about that. Brown and Mustafa turning the corner is very big in this game and for the season. So I kind of expected there was going to be an interception from Shador. Like I thought that one where I think it was Robert Beal, if I'm not mistaken, got his hand on Shador's arm and the ball went up and I was like, oh, there it is, it's an interception, and it just like fell into the Browns' hands. But then the throw that Malik had a chance, like everybody got their hands on that one. He's been playing very well. Like spoiler alert, he's one of my 3 stars.
Okay, I like that. Malik Mustafa seven, almost had 7 receptions, 7 tackles, a tackle for loss, a pass deflection. He felt like he was all over the place, Jason. That's really all I have from this game. It's a ho hum 26-8 victory. We talked about a lot here already. Do you have anything you wanted to touch on? I feel like we touched on a lot.
Yeah, Ben Barch is hurt. And that's such is life. Water's wet. So Spencer Burford, who, I don't know if you guys saw before the touchdown to Juwan Jennings, he literally, I feel bad for 33. He went out there in 74, put him on his ass, but it's going to be Spencer Burford the rest of the way, most likely. I don't know what it is. Ben Barch cannot stay healthy, and he just cannot hold on to that job. So, the rotation, at least we're just going to get it down to one guy. But, Ben Barch is always hurt, man. I just don't know what to say. It's not my opinion. Like, he's always hurt. Whenever he gets on the field, he ends up being hurt. So Spencer Burford is going to go the rest of the way. I thought Jake Brendel played a little bit better. There was one play where Mason Graham wiped him completely off of the line. So I'm sure that'll get a lot of burn on social media as opposed to showing some of the good things that he did. Trent Williams, if I'm not mistaken, allowed 9 pressures, if I'm not mistaken, in this game, although it was only 1 sack from Myles Garrett. But I do want to highlight that Myles Garrett did move over a little bit, even though I highlighted all that, most of his snaps would be against Trent Williams. He did move over against Colton McKivitz. Colton McKivitz did very well. So I want to make sure that we highlight that as well, too. For every time that you want to, bash Colton McKivitz and whatever, Myles Garrett went over there and he held his own, man, and it's in limited reps, but, for all the talk about, hey, just line up Garrett against McKivitz, it's not that simple, especially with the defensive scheme and how they function. You can't just, like, willy-nilly change all that. So, yeah, I think the offensive line was fine in this one. I think Brock got the ball out, but, his mobility helps a lot more. But, against this defensive front that, for the most part, gets after the quarterback, Brock got sacked once. He was hurried a lot, but he still got the football out.
Yeah, all right. Let's move on to 3 stars here, then, Jason. I feel like there's a good amount of Niners you can go with. I'm going to start with the offensive line as a whole. You mentioned a good amount of pressures. I'm curious to see what that PFF number was, because it felt like, especially after the third quarter or after halftime, there we go. We got there. After halftime, the pressure really ticked up a bit from Cleveland, but only 1 sack from Myles Garrett, 1 sack from the team that leads the AFC in sacks this season. And really, I didn't expect the Niners to throw the ball 30 times a day because of the weather, but they did, and to keep Brock Purdy upright. And these are the type of games where I get why Niner fans are so harsh on the offensive line, but sitting here saying that they're a bad offensive line, that's just an outright lie. They're
Far from it.
average. They're anywhere from above average to below average on any given week. I think today they were an above average offensive line, but to sit there and say they're a bad offensive line, this would be game one. I show you of no, this is why they're not a bad offensive line, because a bad offensive line, I don't know, like picking a random team out of the hat here, the Las Vegas Raiders would have given up 10 sacks,
10 sacks,
which is exactly what they did last week. But the Niners allow one, and that's the difference between a bad offensive line and average offensive lines. Is average offensive lines can hold up when needed, and that's what the offensive line did.
Yeah, and I don't want this to come off like, like, being a dickhead or anything like that. But if you think the 49ers offensive line is bad, I just implore you to let's watch some other games from other teams and you tell me what you see.
Go watch any Chargers game.
Yeah, I was just about to say, for all the shit talk about Jim Harbaugh and, offensive line and that offensive line
injuries
sucks.
exist.
They do. That's fine. Slater's hurt or whatever. But even still, like you literally, you get alt, but your interior O-line, even when they're all healthy, is shit. So I don't want to hear that anymore, right? Like, we have to start watching around the league. Like, watch other teams, watch how their offensive lines function, watch how CJ Stroud is running for his life every single play. There are far worse offensive lines out there than the San Francisco 49ers. And if that's the type of perspective that you need so you can kind of get up off them, whoever it is that is just like, oh, this is the worst offensive line, I don't know who I'm speaking to in this instance, then fine. But because I think if once you see what it's like across the league, many teams have problems with their offensive line, and many teams have far worse offensive lines than the San Francisco 49ers. And, some of that is a function of the scheme, the quarterback, all of those things. I think, again, offensive line play is tied to quarterback, receiver, scheme, what's your timing. All of those things matter, right? Sometimes pressures are on the quarterback, sometimes pressures are on the offensive line. But I guarantee you that I can go around the league and point out a bunch of offensive lines that I can say for sure that are far worse than the San Francisco 49ers. And, if it takes you watching them get their ass whipped every single, snap to have a newfound appreciation for the 49ers, then I implore you to do that, because you might feel a lot better about the 49ers offensive line watching around the league.
Perfect. Who's your third star?
Malik Mustafa. Again, it's coming into his own again. Maybe it's the injury, maybe it's the way they're deploying him. They found a way to get him to playing fast again, get him to playing good football. That's a big thing, because we literally were talking about going into the draft, like, what the hell are they gonna do at safety? Siegel got benched, and Mustafa looks bad, and what about Tig? And last week it was Tig, this week it was Malik Mustafa. I don't think Malik Mustafa is going to be the defensive player of the week, but he definitely had a very good game. It always felt like he was in there. And, in that fourth down play, everyone went to Jordan Elliott because he's the big boy, and you automatically assume that. But, he was completely unblocked. Malik Mustafa gets in there. He's the first one to get contact. So, he's playing fast. He's playing physical. Looks a lot like the guy from last year. So that's really, really big.
I'm gonna go second star. I'm really iffy on where I'm gonna go Sky Moore. I just like talking Niners special teams after all the times we've been mean to them, for good reason. Like, it's not like we were mean for no reason. Special teams was very bad, but really, it's been every game the last 6 weeks. There's been some big returns, starting with the Houston game with Brian Robinson. But Sky Moore, a 66-yard punt return this time. Kind of ran out of gas at the end. There was kind of a cool stiff arm. Like, I guess it was against the punter, like whatever, but like stiff arms are always cool. But it sets up the Niners' first touchdown of the game after a pretty mundane first drive, which, by the way, we haven't talked about that first drive, but throwing the ball every play on that opening drive with no runs was very interesting. But Sky Moore makes it up with his 66-yard return. I feel like I could have gone George Kittle here too, but I'm going to go Sky Moore, my second star.
Yeah, I'm going to go George Kittle here, man. Again, intermediate is where you had to attack this defense. I love the route combination that he ran against that look. As soon as he breaks inside, the two linebackers think that he's just going to be running across there. He runs it back out the other side. Brock sees it, layers the football in there. That's exactly where you had to attack. That catch at the end of the half. Again, that drive is the turning point in this game. when the 49ers really like looked themselves in the mirror and were like, wait a minute, we are fucking better than these guys, and let's go out there and let's wake up. So it was good to see all that. So I do think, again, there is an offensive identity when it comes to the edge that the 49ers play with, and also him being an offensive weapon. But George Kittle, man, being back, like there's no real way to quantify. Obviously you have the numbers with yards per rush and all that stuff, but there's no real way to quantify his impact on this defense in terms of edge and attitude. I mean, this offense in terms of edge and attitude, and the way that they play, and his propensity to make big plays. So I'm gonna give it to George Kittle in a game that absolutely was necessary for him in the way the 49ers were going to have to be successful on offense.
Propensity. That's a great word.
It's
Jason
a,
just casually just like drops it in there.
it
Like, I
was in
love it.
it was in my day of the word calendar. I had to use it once.
I love it. I need to get one of those. I need to match Jason Aponte's like aura with his words. Like, dare I say, like you think Jason Aponte is just full of aura? Wait till you hear his vocabulary. Propensity. I love it. Usually, yeah. I tried to sneak it into your number one star here, which we might have the same. Maybe not.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Cleveland Farrell.
Oh, um,
Who you got?
you know what? It's boring, and the numbers don't really jump out at you. But it's Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
And you know what? You go first with Cleveland Farrell, and then I'll do McCaffrey.
I'll go Cleveland Farrell, and it's just really because this defensive line has really been struggling getting to the quarterback, and you bring him in, and like I'll go as far to say I think today was his best game as a Niner, like the first time and this time.
4 sacks in 3 games. He's already tied for second on the team.
I believe so. Yeah, he might be up there, and he's been here for so short of a time this season.
He's been here for a cup of coffee so far.
2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits, 9 tackles. Like he led the Niners in 3 different stat categories today: tackles, solo tackles, and sacks. And I guess tackles for loss as well. He might have led the Niners defense in every category today. So I'm gonna give it to Cleveland Farrell just because of where this defensive line has been lately, and even to the Sam Okawanu injury. Like that's an injury we haven't had a chance to talk about, but
yeah, it sucks.
It's just another body down on this defensive line, and Cleveland Farrell is just casually showing. Like we thought Bryce Huff would be the savior of this defensive line with where he was, and it's turned out to be Cleveland Farrell, which Niner fans remember him as being a pretty good run stopper, and that's what he is. But 3 sacks in 2 games, and I believe 4 in 3. Like it's been very good to see from Cleveland Farrell, a spot where the Niners have needed it.
Yeah, you know what's funny is when Michael went down, everyone said, "Well, who's going to set the edge?" And I was like, "Wait a minute, that's literally Cleveland Farrell's bag, like literally setting the edge and playing against the run." But he has a sack against the Giants. He has one against the Panthers, and he gets 2 today. I just want to remind people: Cleveland Farrell sacks 2, Myles Garrett 1. One of these players might be washed. So yeah, it's a good thing to see. He may need to get more snaps. Again, I just wish there was a way to not have to use Bryce Huff so much because his impact gets lost. Being a run defender, and he's not that impact guy on situational, pass rushes. But I understand why he has to be out there because of the lack of bodies. But Cleveland Farrell should get a lot more snaps, I think, and especially if we come out of this bye and we find out that Sam O's not ready, and what's going on with the rest of this defensive line. So, but yeah, Cleveland Farrell's a good call, man. Already second on the team in sacks, and he's been up here for a cup of coffee only, which is either good or bad, depending on your perspective.
Well, if they had 3 sacks today, he has 25% of the Niners sacks this season. They had 13 entering today. They have 16 now. He has 4 of them. He literally has 25% of the sacks, and he's been on this team for 25% of the season.
That's up to you whether you think that's good or bad. But it is true.
Good for Cleveland Farrell, bad for everybody else.
Right. Depends on how you look at that. So yeah.
And then you had Christian McCaffrey number 1. I'm excited to hear this explanation.
Yeah, look, it's so funny because I was watching the pregame show today, if I'm not mistaken, on NFL Network, and Kurt Warner and and Rich Eisen. They were talking, and they were like, hey, what's going to be the game plan? And they're talking about, protecting the football and making sure that you play sound defense and everything. And Rich Eisen goes, well, maybe 23 getting the ball a lot. And Kurt Warner says, yeah, but everybody knows that. and I think that's where I'm going with this, is that every single person knows who's going to get the ball just about every single time. And though the numbers don't look good, Cleveland's a very good defense. He's still breaking tackles. He's still scoring touchdowns. He's still that guy that can move the chains when you need it. It was a gritty game. It's not glitzy. Gritty, not glitzy. Gritty, on the film. Glitzy, not in the box score at all because of how it looks and especially with the yards per carry. But it's just every single person, every single defense, no one is ever like, man, who's this 23 guy? How do we stop him? It's everybody knows who's going to get the football, and yet when they need a play, when they need something big, when they need a touchdown at the goal line, it's always Christian McCaffrey. And I think this was a game where I fully expected him to get, 175 touches. But while the numbers don't look good, his reliability this season, the way he's carried this offense, the way he's been a rock, and that's the reason, a big reason, one of the top 3 reasons that the 49ers have 9 wins going into the bye week. So this one may not look good in the box score, but man, was it a gritty effort from him, man, especially knowing that Cleveland made him the focal point of their defense, just like everybody else does every single week.
I like it, Jason. That was a very good explanation because you look at his numbers and it doesn't hold up. I think it might be his first game this season with under 100 total yards. But hey, the gravity, dare I say the gravity, the Stephen Curry-esque gravity that Christian McCaffrey brings. Very good. I like that number 1 star. I agree with a lot of what you just said there. I like it.
Yeah, and look, you know what's funny is we're wondering where's Jordan James? What about Isaac Guerendo? Isaac Guerendo is a core special teamer. Like, so when you're thinking about this team and how they construct this game day roster, these guys have to be up. Jordan James doesn't play special teams, so he's never going to be up. Guerendo's the 3rd running back, but they're never going to use him. He's a core special teamer. He almost, came up with a really nice play on that fumble. So, like, guys are contributing on this offense, on this team in different ways. Like, Guerendo hasn't taken an offensive snap. So you're saying, how's he contributing? But, being good, part of the reason that this special teams has been so good, kick returning, kick coverage, punt coverage has been because of him. And everybody's contributing. Nick Martin's not getting on the field. Cool. I'm going to cause a fumble on the special teams. Now, you get knocked out, with the concussion, but everyone seems to be bought in and is still finding a way to contribute. And that's how you bide your time and wait for your opportunity. So I think I see too much of like, why did you draft Jordan James if you're never going to play him? We've been dying for Brian Robinson to get more snaps. He's not going to get more snaps than Christian McCaffrey. Who's Jordan James going to jump over? And then when you think about the guys that you have to have active on game day, he's not a part of that rotation because he can't play special teams. So unfortunately, unless something drastic happens or something horrible happens, catastrophic, he's not going to see the field, and it's not a wasted draft pick because we don't know that yet.
Jason, let's see if I got this right. If you look at Christian McCaffrey's number, I don't think people would have the propensity to make him the number 1 star, but Jason Aponte is there looking at in between the stat lines. Did I do it? Did I do it right? Did I do it right?
That's good. It's good. It works. It works.
Thank you. I definitely don't have a propensity definition up on my side of the screen here, but we don't need to talk about it. Jason, how is the Minnesota? Oh, hey, we've been doing a weekly segment now. It's called Talk About the Minnesota Vikings. Jason Aponte. How's the Minnesota Vikings offensive line look?
Oh, well, Ryan Kelly's back, so that's really good, and he's very good at center. Will Freeze is kind of, he's been in there, but today Donovan Jackson had to play because their left guard is out. He's they're moving around a lot of parts. I think generally they're fine. I think there's protection there. The quarterback play has been awful, but there are running lanes. If you notice that when Jordan Mason does touch the football, the very few times that he does have some running room. Same thing with Aaron Jones as well too. That offense is it's stuck in neutral, man. So yeah, I think they're fine. They are fine. They're fine. They're much better than the Saints offensive line. I will tell you that.
We haven't even gotten to the portion of talking about the New Orleans Saints on this podcast yet. But Jason, we have finally made it. The Niners bye week 14. The Niners sit at 9-4. They're sitting in a really good spot. The NFC West still within reach with the Rams loss to the Carolina Panthers today. As it is 0-0 ending the end of the first quarter here for the Vikings Seahawks. So we'll keep an eye on that game.
Defensive struggle.
Seahawks lose this game. The Niners are in second place in the NFC West, right behind those Rams. And I don't know how I haven't looked too deep into tiebreakers yet, so I don't know how that would work. But
division wins are important. I think we've only
division
lost
wins.
Yeah, we've only lost one game in the division so far.
Yeah, so maybe is that the first tiebreaker is the division wins, because that's the case. The Niners are in a very good spot.
No, they are in a good spot. You just got to keep on, you just have to keep on winning games and everything as well too. And I wanted to kind of go back. We were just talking about the Rams. It's so funny to me. So Matthew Stafford breaks the record for consecutive touchdowns without an interception, then proceeds to throw interception after interception after interception, which I don't know if it validates what happened, with Purdy, because I mean JC Horn didn't even play in this game and they have 10 interceptions. He has 5 of them. They have 3 more today, but he didn't play today. But it's just funny, man. And
It's
and
funny.
for all the talk about the Rams defense, what happened? The Panthers carved them the fuck up. Like
Yeah.
that was really really bad. I don't really
Yeah.
like. It's so funny. The Panthers. I saw somebody say that like Bryce Young flips a coin whether he wants to be JJ McCarthy or Tom Brady each week. And today he was way more Tom Brady than he was JJ McCarthy. He was way more JJ McCarthy than he was Tom Brady against the 49ers. But that's a concerning loss for the Rams. I don't want to just
Yeah.
I don't want to just say like, oh well, any given Sunday. No, 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 no.
Well,
Short week. You're rolling. Everybody's healthy for your team. That was some bullshit.
in a season where no team has really established themselves as the best team in the NFL, and the Rams are kind of the easy answer the past few weeks, this is one that kind of brings me back to who is the best team? Because I think it's still the Rams, but I just watched that Panthers team look like garbage against the 49ers, and the Niners defense, because of the injuries, is nowhere near what the Rams defense is, and that's I don't know if it's just a one, maybe it's a 10 a.m. start, whatever excuse you want to make, but that's a concerning loss for the Rams. I mean, who the Rams have? Let's see who the Rams have next week. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick, because that's going to be important. The Niners have they have the Cardinals, man. I guess.
Hey, look. Division games are weird.
Hey, there we go. I love it. Bring it back. I like that.
So you never know, man. And I don't know what happened in that because I couldn't keep an eye on both or whatever. Like I saw that Brissett was like kind of slinging that shit against the Bucks, but that game's gonna be in Arizona if I'm not mistaken, right? Or is it in LA?
At Arizona.
That game can get weird.
The Rams schedule ends with at Arizona versus Detroit, at Seattle, at Atlanta versus the Cardinals. So that's how the Rams end it.
They could lose one of those games to the Cardinals.
They could lose, and they could lose both to the Lions and Seahawks. We'll see what happens.
Oh, they play Detroit too?
They play Detroit the week after. So they got at Arizona and then Detroit.
They're not gonna lose as long as Dan Campbell's a fucking moron, though. But hey, we'll see.
We'll see what happens. But Jason,
I want my coach to be more like Dan Campbell and go for it on 4th down. Remember those takes?
Yeah. Hey man, speaking of that, if we want to talk about the Thanksgiving games real quick, Joe Burrow, what a game!
Hey man,
what a game, Joe Burrow.
Hey man, what I really liked was what he said. About that the woman asked him before the game, why are you playing? Your team is like, and he said, listen, man, I get paid to play a kid's game. I'm a football player, and I want to be out there. I was like, damn. I would love for my quarterback to say something like that, but he was putting the ball in places where nobody else could get it. That's why he's one of the most frustrating quarterbacks in the NFL, because he should be in that tier with those guys, but he's never available. So the problem is like when I say that I'll take Josh Allen or Mahomes or Lamar over him Lamar gets hurt too, but it's because those guys play. What's the point of having somebody that good if he just keeps getting injured? So he's one of the most frustrating cases, man. I just hope that the Bengals don't turn him into Andrew Luck because he's so fucking good.
Yeah. That was an interesting game to watch, and then successful hate watch Thursday, Friday. The Chiefs lose to the Cowboys, and then the Eagles lose to the Bears. Like that, I haven't had that much fun watching 2 non-Niner games inside. It was very weird cheering for the Cowboys. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't thrilled to cheer for the Cowboys, but the Chiefs are in a situation, and hey man, if you want to start looking at maybe Team of Destiny stuff for the Niners with all these injuries and 9-4, and The boogeyman might not be in the playoffs. You listen, man. You get into the dance, you never ever know, man.
You're thinking far ahead. I like it, but no, it is true. And you know what's funny is we should have been rooting for the Eagles. Um, but for me, it's like that tweet that I sent out about I hate Dallas, but KC losing is good too. So we up regardless. Like one way or another, we were gonna win. So look, I think a few things are true. I think all the stuff that kind of is said about or was said about Kyle Shanahan and like, oh, the scheme's outdated and people have figured you out and where's the adjustments? We need to start saying that about Andy Reid as well too, because there's so much about this scheme
Yeah.
that just feels like it's a little disjointed, a little off. And this is they've been running it back with the same team every single year. Every single year. I
They
don't
haven't
understand.
they haven't replaced Tyreek Hill yet. They
Yeah,
still
well,
don't have a run game.
Xavier Worthy might be fast running in shorts, but he's not football fast.
Yeah.
There's no reason that he caught that pass against the Cowboys and doesn't turn the other way and should have just been in the crib. Like I don't understand. What's the point of being super fast like that, Xavier Worthy? Rashid Rice would have housed that.
Yeah, and then also the Eagle game too. I can't think of a more fun team to watch shit the bed at home. Every time there was a third down incomplete pass, I would turn the volume up like I was bumping an album or something like that, just for those boos that come into the living room. And every time Jamie would be sitting next to me on the couch, like, Jamie, listen, do you hear this shit? Like, you hear how loud they are? And she didn't care, but I was having a great time. Jason, I was just closing some tabs really quick. And I happen to have this one just to go back to Clelin Ferrell. In 17 games in 2023, Clelin Ferrell had 3.5 sacks for the
Wow.
49ers.
There you go.
So he already has more sacks in his first stint in 17 games with the 49ers. How do you like that? Clelin
I
Ferrell. Shout out,
I
man.
I love it, man. I'm gonna choose to take that as a positive. One more thing about the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, I could talk about the Eagles all day, Jason, if you want to talk about it.
My Jalen Hurts is a Door Dasher cosplaying as a quarterback. Takes are just aging better by the day.
Yeah. Yeah. He has not looked great. Because what was the 2-point conversion? Like it looked like they were blocking for like a quarterback draw and he like rolled like it's getting confusing.
It's the other stuff too. It's a slant to Devontae Smith
Mm-hmm.
where he's got nothing but space and he literally throws it over his back ear. I'm just like,
Oh, did you see the all 22 of that angle?
yes, it's horrible.
Where no, but look at Dallas Goddard. He was
Yeah, oh yeah, he's running up the seam. He's running up the
wide,
seam like this.
nobody within 10 yards of him.
Yeah.
If we get in, I like our chances. Thank you, Keith Burney and the Unbeaten, for that. Yeah, hey, listen, man, you get in, you never know what's gonna happen. You never know what's gonna happen. Those are the reason the NFL playoffs are so fun. Is because it is a one game, one shot. Anything can happen in 60 minutes of a football game, and you never know. And then the Niners again have been playing these ugly, close games, and they've come out on top 9 times out of 13. So what more can you ask for?
Yeah, and I don't want to put this out there because I don't wish this for anybody, but we still got a few weeks for impact injuries to happen across the league. Still.
Yes.
Right? Like we don't know what the shape is of any of these teams going into
Mhm.
the NFC. We don't know what the shape of the 49ers is going to be, right? You get I hate to say this, you get Yetur Gross Models back. All of a sudden now this defensive line looks a little bit better. Like we don't know what's about to happen. We don't know what's the state of teams going into these playoffs, right? Like things can happen very quickly, right? Like the bottom fell out for the Philadelphia Eagles very fast after the 49ers beat their ass in 2023 and they were one and done. That might be on the way for other teams as well too, right? Like Chicago, right? The 49ers in Chicago, that one is probably like the biggest. That's the biggest one right there. Like you have to, and you have to hope that the Packers just beat up on them, right? Because they played them twice. You have to hope that the Packers get them twice. But there's so much left, right? Like, you watch the Bears, they ran the football all over the Eagles. Okay, they've beaten a lot of teams. They've beaten who's on the schedule. Give them props. I'm still not like all the way like, oh my God, man, the Bears are completely turned around. What they're turned around in is now Ben Johnson has them doing things that no other coach was doing, which is winning the games they're supposed to win. And that's a big corner to turn for them because they couldn't beat high school teams at certain times, no matter what type of talent they had. So we still have to be patient with what these teams are going to look like moving forward, right? Like, what if this is the first game of like a Ram slump? Like, again, like we don't know what the rest of this is going to be, but I do know the 49ers have won 3 straight. They have 9 wins going into the bye, 9-4 with this team. It just seems more impressive altogether with all the injuries, more than anything. And we probably had them pegged for 9-4 going into this with the schedule at the same time as well too. But we didn't think it was going to be this way.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a two-edged sword, Jason, because defense has been playing out of its mind, and that's a good thing. But I think for the long term, I think Bob Saleh is gone again, and we're gonna have to figure that out. But that's a conversation for another day. As we said, the Niners right now 9-4, heading into the bye week. That'll be it for this instant reaction. We appreciate each and every one of you. We'll probably be back. Let's see, if you want, we can do a Friday episode like we usually do. Just talk about everything else going around in the league with the Bible. We'll see what happens when we get there, Jason. But that's it for instant reaction today. Hey, I'm looking forward to it. Episode 6. Welcome to Derry. I'm so excited about it. I bought it, the novel, and I've been starting it. So that's how locked in I am on Welcome to Derry.
Let me know when you get to that part of the book.
I have a feeling I don't know what that means, but
you will. Oh,
okay.
You will, and it's not
because right now I'm on the 6 phone calls portion of the book.
No, it's not in the movies. It'll never be filmed.
I think I know what you're talking about.
It's the most controversial portion of the book, but let me know when you get to that part of the book.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a good read so far, and
I don't know if you're looking forward to it, but you'll get there.
Looking forward to reading the book as a whole, segment. But
Justin Herbert is in the locker room. Trey Lance is coming in at quarterback.
Oh man. Okay, well we'll see what
did I just say? What did I literally just say? What did I just say?
Another injury update. Kyle Juszczyk underwent X-rays for his broken ribs, and those came back negative. So that's a good thing.
He'll be all right. He gets a week off. He'll be fine.
Yeah, everybody gets a week off. Niners on the bye week, 9-4. With this defense, who would have thought? But they're in a prime position for the playoffs, and we like to see it.
Can't lose on Sunday. Can't lose this week.
Can't lose this week.
Man, Trey Lance. I'm not gonna watch this Vikings game at all now. I'm locked in on Trey Lance against the Raiders.
Oh my God! Really quick, one last thing about the Rams. With the Rams' loss, the Chicago Bears are your number 1 seed in the NFC. Wow,
they are.
Wow.
Just like we all drew it up. Just like
we all drew it up, man. And Niners have them in a couple weeks here, so we'll see what happens with Jason. Let's get out of here, man. Let's go watch this Trey. Let's go watch Trey Lance. Let's go.
Trey Lance.
Go back the clock.
Hey, listen, I'll figure out something to write about the Saints. I didn't watch that game because I just the Niners were on. That's more important. But I'm definitely down to watch some Trey Lance now. That game just got way more interesting. Let me see the play though.
This is all here.
What? That's it? That's it?
Interesting.
What happened?
I don't know.
He'll be all right. He'll be back. That was not, it's fine. It's fine.
He's jogging back to the locker room. So
he'll be all right, man. There's no way that little like lift and drop or whatever is going to put him up.
Adam Schefter said it was a hand injury. And JP Acosta tweeted, Trey Lance snaps, just what Raiders Chargers game needed.
So, yeah, I mean, at least it's going to be interesting. Shit, if you're going to be boring, at least be, or if you're going to be bad, at least be fun. Don't be boring.
Yeah. All right, Jason, let's get out of here. We will be back at some point here in the next week. Talk 49ers football. 9-4 going into the bye week. We made it the week 14 bye. We love it. Jason Aponte, as always.
Let's go Niners. 9-4. Trey Lance stopped on a QB sneak on 4th down.
Bam. Bam.